Layers. Layers are intended for the logical grouping of data on a drawing, which can be displayed either separately or in combination with each other. A range of parameters can be assigned to a layer, for example, name, color, line type, weight of the lines, and so on. When selecting any element of a drawing that has a certain list of previously created layers, we can see in which layer the drawing was made, and its list of parameters. The center lines are on the axis layer. A major advantage of working with layers is that if it's necessary to add a new axis to the volumetric plan of a typical floor, it's quite labor-intensive, and we can simplify this by hiding, for example, walls, partitions, and then, on the cleared drawing, perform all the necessary work and afterward cancel the layer hiding command. Let's immediately note that layers 0 and def points are service layers. These layers cannot be deleted, so they will always be displayed in the dialog box. All parameters of each layer are editable. We can rename the layers. We can turn the layer off and on. We can freeze, lock, change the color, line type, line weight, and also adjust transparency and decide, will this layer be printable or not? Let's first look at the all tools that are in the layer group, without going into the layer state manager, and the first of them is turning off the layer. This command offers to turn off the layer temporarily. Let's turn off the axis layer. And we see that we've turned off this layer, and it temporarily disappeared. We can turn it back on and everything will return to its original look. The next command is freeze. This command allows you to freeze any other layers except the current ones. They will stop being displayed on the drawing, but when selected they will be included in the selection area. Let's freeze the axis layer again. Under the freeze layers is a button to unfreeze the layers. Next is a layer lock command. When locked, the appearance of the object changes, but you cannot modify this object at all. For example, if there are objects that are strictly forbidden to move, such as walls or again axial lines, they can be locked and they won't change their position. Lock the layer. Now we see that our axes are being selected, but we cannot perform any manipulations with them. Let's unlock this layer. The next button is for creating a layer. It is also present in the layer state manager. Later we will create a new layer. Make the layer of the object current. Now this layer axis will be the default unless we specify other parameter for it. Next, unlock, or rather turn on all layers that were turned off earlier. Unlock all layers. Layer matching the command offers to transfer objects to another layer. You first need to select the necessary objects. Let's transfer the axis layer to the walls layer. For this, we select this command, pick the object we want to edit, and then choose the destination layer walls. In this way, we can transfer the properties from one layer to another. The next command is previous state of layers. And the last is layer walk, which shows only the objects that were executed for layer bypass. Let's select axis again, layer walk. We see that the axes and walls remain because we transfer the wall properties to the axis layer. And all other layers stop displaying. Sequentially we can choose any layer and conduct various manipulations, and other respective drawing elements won't interfere. Now, let's move to the layer properties dialog box and let's figure out the next tools that are presented there. We can create a filter. The filter perform the following actions. They generate lists, which based on the selection criteria, like color parameter or line type, should correspond to the layers that only have these parameters. Let's create a filter. Let's name it New Filter. And now, we can set the defining parameter that must be present in any of the layers. For instance, let's choose the red color. For that, click in the area after the filter header and select red color. Now, let's finish creating the filter, and our walls layer got included in this list. To edit this filter, for instance, we want to replace red with blue. What's required for this? You need to right-click on the desired filter and click Edit Filter. Next, in the parameter selection dialog box, you need to choose the filter that sets the color, change it to blue. Then, turn off the filter editing mode again. And now we see that instead of the red filter, we have the blue one, and all layers with this color are displayed. There is no need to create multiple filters. You can use just one, knowing that you can edit it and select the parameters you need. The next tool is layer states. By states, we mean saving, restoring, and managing layer settings. All parameters will be automatically saved. Now, let's arbitrarily set new parameters for the state. To create a layer state, we can use this button, Add Layer State, or right-click on Layer State and select Add. Let's title the state. In it, we'll save all the previous layer settings so that we have the opportunity later to revert from subsequent state to the previous view. Let's create a layer state again. Layer State 1. And now we can set all the parameters we need, for instance, make the dimension layer current, freeze a few layers, and lock some of them. After which, close the Layer Properties dialog box. With the help of the drop-down menu, we can switch from one layer of state to another. In Layer State 1, with the parameters we set, it will look as follows. In the state where we left all layers unchanged, it will have the original appearance. Now let's try to create a layer group. This tool allows you to group layers together. For example, when you need to change settings for a large of list layers simultaneously, we'll name it Group. And in the next Group dialog window, we can add layers that we want to see only in this group, using the plus sign in the first column of parameters. Next, close the window. And afterward, in the same drop-down menu, we can automatically turn off all the layers that were added to our group. We can also freeze them, lock them, and exclude them from printing. Another advantage of the following dialog window is that we can search for a specific layer using the layer search if you know its exact name, and find it from the entire list. You've probably also noticed the tools that are located in the drop-down list. First is Layer State Manager, then Change to Current Layer. This command also allows you to transfer properties from one layer to another. Let's transfer properties from the wall layer to the axis layer. In the command line, you can also see the actions that were performed. 2 objects were transferred to the axis layer, and it's set as the current one. Next, copy object to a new layer. We can copy objects. First, choose what we want to copy to another layer. Then we select the layer on which the objects will be copied. The next step is to specify the base point, and then we set the displacement. Next, merge layers. This tool allows us to merge layers into one single layer. For this, let's select the doors layer and the wall layer. Choose the target layer, and the next dialog window warns us about merging the selected layers. Confirm. In this way, we have merged the doors and wall layers into one large layer. We'll discuss how layers are displayed on the viewport a bit later when we study the section on sheets and printing.